So, you know how to dry brush your models, but what about edge highlighting? Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, time for another back to basics video for you, and in this one I want to cover edge highlighting. Now this is a great technique to learn and master. If done well, you can get some really good results with it. Now it's probably fair to say that if it's not done well, it can look pretty dreadful. So I really hope that this video helps you along the way. Now as always, this video is aimed for beginners. So yeah, let's have a look at edge highlighting. Okay, so let's have a chat about edge highlighting. Now I'm going to show you some edge highlighting in this video. I'm going to do the yellow armour, I'm going to do some basic edge highlighting, and then I'm also going to show you how to take that edge highlighting to the next level as well. So hopefully it's going to be really useful to you. Now in the previous video we had a chat about dry brushing. I think a lot of us start with dry brushing our models, and I could go in and I could just dry brush this Space Marine here. The dry brush would pick up all the edges of the Marine, make it look pretty decent. However, it's pretty messy. All of the flat areas would get that dry brush on as well, so you arguably could go back in and you could paint the flat areas again. But to take your painting to the next level above dry brushing, the best way to do that is going to be with edge highlighting. So it's where you get some paint, and anything that's got a little raised area, you will add your highlight manually to that edge rather than actually doing that sort of dry brush that we previously looked at. So in this case, with the yellow armour, I want to go in and edge highlight with Ushabti bone. So like a bony colour. Now I've already put that paint on my wet palette, which if I can get into the camera, let's just move this Marine. There it is. So I've got some Ushabti bone on there. I've also added a little bit of Laham medium just to thin it out and also to stop it from drying very quickly. And the reason why we want to do that is because edge highlighting is best done with a small little brush. Now in this instance I'm using a 000 brush, which is mighty small. Now you can use bigger brushes as long as you've got a nice point, a very small pointed tip. You don't want to be doing this edge highlighting with anything that's got a splayed out brush. Personally, I prefer the smaller. I think the smaller the better. The thinner I can get those little highlights. So let's have a closer look at actually doing this. So let me refocus the camera. So I'm just going to adjust, getting to my painting position, which, to be fair, is not my normal painting position, but I'm going to try my best. So I'm going to get a little bit of paint onto my brush, and there's several techniques. I'm going to show you the first one. Now the first technique is when you have quite a sticky out edge, like this top of the leg here. So rather than actually going in and trying to paint a line right across that edge, you can actually use the side of your brush. So you can actually go onto the side of your brush and just let the paint flow automatically onto the raised area. And this is very easy to do. And a lot of the raised areas that we are going to be edge highlighting will actually be quite flat. Looking good already. Okay, so that's one style. The other style is where, for example, at the bottom of this leg here, where the raised area is a little bit tricky to get to, and I don't think I could use the side of the brush for that. So what I'm going to have to do here is actually line in that little edge. So we're going to just basically take our brush and we are going to go away from us. I mean everyone's different obviously. Personally, I prefer painting in the direction away from me. So I'm just going along that edge. As you can see, the paint is coming on quite nicely, like so. And I'm just going to go around that little join. So what I would do is turn the model so that I'm always painting in exactly the same direction with my brush, rather than changing the direction of the brush. I mean, I could leave the model here and start painting like towards me, but I just find it a lot easier to be painting away. So I will literally just turn that model so that I'm always painting in exactly the same direction. Like so. Now I'm going to go into the boot, and this is really awkward on camera because it's just totally not my normal painting position. Going to edge that top of the boot. Okay, so that is basically edge highlighting, just going on all of the edges and adding your highlight. Now there are some areas where you want to add a highlight where there isn't actually an edge, maybe like a curve. So for example, on the top of the shoulder pad here, I may want to just draw in a line, and I would just manually draw in a line. And also quite prominent would be this top section of the boot where it's actually curve, but you can easily see there is an edge. And sometimes the best way to pick out where you're going to put your highlight is that literally just to use your light. So I've got my light here, I would just put it on top of the model and I can see where that light hits the model, and that gives you a good indication of where to actually put the highlight. So let's put a highlight on that boot. So I'm going to pick out so that the very curved edge, and I'm just going to literally manually draw in a line. So there's actually no edge to actually paint, but I'm going to imagine the light hitting this little curve here. Like that. So that is looking pretty cool. Right, okay, because this isn't my normal painting position, I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to edge highlight the whole of this model, all of the yellow, and I'll be back and we'll have another chat. Okay, so there you go, that is the yellow, all edge highlighted with that bone colour, and I'll just spin them around so you can have a closer look. So yeah, I went to all of the edges with that bone colour. I also drew in some extra lines that weren't necessarily an edge. So for example, on the top of his shoulder pad there, and also on the top of the backpack. Yeah, just spin him around so you can see him a little bit closer. Of course, I have also highlighted all of the magnetised sections. So let's just take his power fist off there and put on his power weapon. So there you go, that's him with his power weapon. So, what's next? Well, next I want to show you how to take your edge highlighting to the next level. And I'm going to do that with his bolt gun that you see there. So in particular, the black sections. So if we were going to continue on and just edge highlight that the same as the yellow, what we would do, guess a medium coloured grey, something like the Dawnstone grey. And then we would hit all of the edges of that black with this Dawnstone grey and just bring it up to the same level as the yellow, which would be fine, that would work really well, but just want to show you how to get to the next level with edge highlighting. So rather than hitting it with the Dawnstone grey, what we're going to do first is we're going to go in with a slightly darker grey, and in this particular instance I'm going to use this one here, this is Ishin grey. So I'm going to edge highlight all of those edges on that black gun with Ishin grey, and then I'm going to show you how to make that look slightly better. But first of all, I'm going to go in and do that little edge highlights off camera, and once I've done that, I'll be back. Okay, there you go. So I've gone in with that Ishin grey all over the edges. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our Dawnstone grey, which is obviously the lighter grey, and we are going to add some extra highlights to this. So What we need to do is imagine again the light coming downwards and where that light would actually hit, and on those edges where we think the light's going to hit, we're going to add some of the lighter grey. So let's just turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully this is going to be in focus. Let's just check. Right, there you go. So I'm going to get this lighter grey, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to hit the edges with this slightly lighter grey. So we're not going to go over the whole of the edge, just in the areas where we think the light is going to hit, usually in the corner areas. If it's like a long flat edge, probably just on the two ends. And all we're really doing is just adding some extra highlights. Now you could take this even further. On this particular one today, we're just going to do one extra highlight. But if we really wanted to take this edge highlighting further, we could do another one and possibly even another highlight after this as well. But just adding this one extra highlight really helps the edge highlight sort of pop. Do a little bit just in this middle area, just to give the gun a bit more depth. I've hardly got any paint on my brush here. I'm literally just going backwards and forwards, just building up that little highlight. Okay, there you go. So that is now done. So we've just added a little bit more detail really to that edge highlight. So just something to bear in mind. You know, I mean, potentially we could go into that yellow. We could add some white to that shabby bone, make it a little bit lighter, and then we could go in, we could hit all the little corners and edges with a slightly lighter colour if we wanted to take the model to the next level. So I think that pretty much covers edge highlighting. So the next video is going to be about layering. So keep an eye out for that one, and I'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.